Welcome to the Plato Paradigm, a paradigm shift in reading Plato's dialogues. Episode 91, Meno 76, C to D. Last time we learned how Meno normally gets out of having to do anything and getting other people to do what he wants, and that is by being handsome and being beloved by all these older men who will do anything he asks for in return for favors. Now, Socrates is pretending to be one of those lovers. He's not going to get any favors off of Meno, but he behaves as if he is willing to do whatever Meno wants, as if Meno will then do him the favor of answering the question, what is virtue? In other words, answering the question again. Socrates hasn't accepted the two answers already provided by Meno, which he got from Gorgias, and surprisingly Socrates doesn't accept them. But in the meantime, Socrates has given two examples of what he wants, the two answers about shape, and he is about to give yet another one, this time the answer to the question, what is colour? We come in then at the end of the homoerotic banter, which is the passage between the end of the answer about shape and the answer about colour. Chariumai unsoi kai apokrinumai, panumenun charistai. Shall I do you a favor then and answer? Yes, indeed, do me a favor. In Burnet's text, Socrates doesn't ask, he just says, I'll do you a favor then and I'll answer. But then why would Meno say, yes, indeed, certainly, do me a favor then? It just seems that Meno's response is more appropriate if Socrates had asked a question. Shall I do you a favor? Yes. The next sentence is certainly a question. Boule unsoi kategorian apokrinomai, he ansu malista kuluthesais. Bulamai poskar u. Do you wish then that I answer you in the style of Gorgias, in the way that you would most follow? I do wish, for how not? In other words, how could I not wish? Notice that Meno's two answers about virtue are recalled from memory from what Gorgias had said. Meno is simply repeating the words of Gorgias. Socrates is now suggesting that he gives an answer in the style of Gorgias. This is not necessarily an answer that Gorgias has ever given, but it's in a style which Meno likes. Meno is used to this style. Socrates is again exemplifying how the one giving the answer has to make sure that the one receiving the answer will agree with the answer. So here, first of all, he's making sure that Meno will accept the style of the answer. Is this really what dialectic is about? Making sure that the person receiving the answer likes the style? We'll leave that for now, but it's something to think about. From now on, anyway, Socrates goes through the motions of making sure that Meno accepts every element of the answer. Whether Meno understands these elements is another question. Ukun legete aporoastinas ton onton kata Empedoclea sfodrage. Well then, do you say that there are certain emanations of things which exist according to Empedocles? Extremely. Meno uses the word sfodra, which is very strong. Meno approves of this type of answer, and perhaps he's also excited by the reference to Empedocles. I suggest that we hear the answer first, and then I'll talk about Empedocles. So far it's worth noting that Socrates began with you say in the plural, which would be appropriate for the style of Gorgias addressing a crowd. The emanations from things which are part of an epistemological theory. They didn't have epistemology, but it's still a theory about how we perceive things. There are emanations coming from things, and those emanations come into our senses and are picked up there. That is how we sense the world. The word for emanation, aporoe, is literally flowing from, or a stream from. We can think of a stream of images. The fact that Meno accepts this does suggest that he's heard this before, although this does mean that he's excited by hearing things he's already heard before. Kai porus es hus kai dihon hai aporoai poriontai panuge. We have to understand, legete, do you say, that there are also pores or passages to which and through which the emanations make their way completely. The choice of verb is deliberate. Poriontai is associated with poroi, so we could say that the emanations make their poroi through the poroi. They make their way through the ways. I should note that the por sound is also in aporoe, emanation, but this is misleading. Aporoe is from two words, apo and ruth, a current, a flow. Kaiton aporoon tasmen harmoten enioiston poron, taste elatus e mezus enai. Esti tauta. Again, we have to understand, legete, do you say that of the emanations some fit some of the poroi, while others are smaller or greater? This is the case. Literally, these things are. Uk un kai opsin kalesti, egoge. Well then, do you also call something sight? I do. Ek tuton de sines hotoi lego, efe pindaros. Estinga chroa aporoe schematon opse symmetros kai aesthetos. Aristamoi dokeso Socrates tautenten apokrisin ere kenai. Out of these, then, understand what I say, as Pindarus says. Pindar is a poet. 4. Colour, and he uses here chroa, not chroma. Colour is the emanation of shapes fitting and sensible to sight. You seem to me, Socrates, to have said this answer very well. Why does Meno think that this answer is very good? It's because it's in the style of Gorgias, so we have lots of impressive language, but also we have Empedocles quoted and Pindar for no reason at all, just to say, understand what I say. This is a straight quote from one of the poems by Pindar. It's pointless to have him in, but it's impressive. Perhaps Socrates throws Pindar in because, like Meno and Gorgias and Empedocles, Pindar is also someone who speaks a form of Doric. They all come from different areas, but they all speak a form of Doric, while Socrates comes from Athens, where they speak Attic Greek. The word chroa, I suspect, is here to exemplify the Doric connection. And we see that Socrates, who seems to prefer chroma, can use chroa when required. And it's apparently required when he's talking to Meno. Meno then has accepted all of the elements which have gone into the answer, and this may be the reason why he accepts this answer as very good, while he ridiculed the first answer about shape as stupid, silly, while they both say the same thing. In the first answer, Socrates had said that shape is that which always follows colour, while here he's saying, in effect, that colour is always to do with shape, if indeed it is the emanation of shapes from things which are, fitting the sense of sight. We might well ask ourselves how emanations of shapes could explain colour. The short answer is that they don't. It seems to me that Socrates has deliberately misrepresented the theory of Empedocles. Now, the theory of Empedocles is a bit difficult to reconstruct because he wrote a very long poem on nature, and this is just a part of it. And our big problem here is that we don't have very much of the poem at all. We have fragments. We also have some testimonia, some witnesses from later periods, including Aristotle and his student Theophrastus. Consequently, there is some debate in the secondary literature about Empedocles' theory of sight. But as I see it, we should start with the basic fact, which nobody disputes, that Empedocles posited 4 basic elements which compose all things in the world. These are the things which are, ta unta. And these are fire, air, earth, and water. All things which are in the world are combinations of these elements in different proportions. It's true that according to Empedocles, these objects in the world give off emanations, but the issue of pore size is to do with the different senses: sight, hearing, touch, taste, smell. All of these different senses have a different size of pore. So the emanations going to sight reach pores of a particular size. There are not lots of different sizes of pores in sight. As for colour, fire is bright and water is dark. All of the bright colours are to do with fire, all of the dark colours are to do with water, and these are perceived in sight as well as shape. Making sure that the other person agrees with the elements of the answer doesn't guarantee that the answer will be good. Socrates will give yet another objection to this answer next time.